Mentioned before, sorry, Professor Marco Norizzi, of course, is from Padua, and we go ahead with Padua. So I put here a Padua spot ready for the spirits, I would say. Next speaker is another big fan of Lavori corso, and we should congratulate because he's passing to professor right now. So please clap your hand just because. Finally, he is associate professor, and today the associate professor Martino FRANCHI should stay in 8 minutes, not 1 second more, and will present data about functional, morphological and transcriptional responses to moderate endurance training in older adults following 10 days of bed rest. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks a lot Gaspare and Alberto for organizing this beautiful meeting as usual. It's still 7 days that before passing, so but thanks a lot for the clap because it's heartfelt, so thank you. So you have seen from Giovanni and from Marco data from bed rest. You've seen from Giovanni, the other Giovanni Baldassare and Giovanni Martino, the data from bed rest. So as you probably noticed, we've done a few bed rests thanks to who got the funds for this for these fantastic studies. And today I want to actually talk a little bit about the what happens to bed rest and the successive retraining of elderly people. So I'm not here to explain to you that inactivity is a main curse of modern society and leads to progressive loss of muscle mass and muscle strength, of course. And as on Earth, we can study muscle disuse with bed rest human models, for example, which the participants actually lay and stay in bed for days and nights, okay, consecutive days. And as the bed rest duration or the exposure to disuse keeps on going, then we have a progressive loss, as you can see, of muscle strength and muscle mass. And this occurs actually even in short-term disuse models. So early, okay, during the disuse period, we're going to observe the loss of muscle strength and muscle mass. These are data from one of the bed rest campaign of 2019 in Isola, Slovenia, where you can actually see from MRI results that the right quadriceps femoris volume was decreased only in 10 days in young participants by 5%. So lately, our lab, as you probably noticed from Marco's presentation before, we started to focus also a little bit on the mitigation of this muscle loss, muscle mass loss, and the successive retraining modalities that we can employ. Usually, resistance training has been advocated as one of the best and optimal strategies to recover muscle mass and muscle function. Of course, because of the stimulation that this gives to the muscle in terms of protein synthesis, in terms of neuromuscular responses. In a previous studies, this was on the ULLS data that Giovanni mentioned before. We applied a 21 days of resistance training after 10 days of unilateral limb suspension in young people. And we found a decrease in strength, a decrease in quadriceps volume, a decrease in oxidative metabolism, mitochondrial properties. But after the resistance training period, we found unusual, let's say, adaptations to the oxidative metabolism and fatty acid metabolism and mitochondrial dynamics. And this is usually not associated with resistance training. So the idea behind this was that potentially resistance training in that situation did not work as a resistance training per se, because the muscle needed something more, something else after the disuse period. Okay? So likely the muscle needs dictate what actually are going to be the adaptations to loading per se. So we asked ourselves, in the successive bed rest that we performed, and this was on elderly subject, the data on young subjects are still on work in progress. We asked ourselves if endurance training could also lead or even part in shape the restoring of disuse-induced impairment of skeletal muscle, simply because we saw the resistance training was enhancing oxidative metabolism. And so probably moderate cycling, moderate aerobic training could have resulted in something similar. So in Isola, still the usual suspects, so Udine, Trieste, Padua, Pavia, and I don't want to forget anybody, so all the crew went to Slovenia and performed 10 days horizontal bed rest in 10 healthy male adults in this case. And after the bed rest, we focused on the retraining period, where it was basically consisting of some warm-up, some high-intensity sprints, just of 15 seconds. We can talk about that in the questions, if you want. And then 30 minutes on moderate cycling at the 80 to 100% of the get. So, looking at the results, I'm not showing you too many results because I want your opinion on something that I saw happening here. Basically, we saw a reduction in muscle volume after 10 days of bed rest of about 6%, okay? But the retraining, and I want to stress it was aerobic moderate training, led to an increase of 11% in muscle volume from the post-bed rest values to the post-retraining. And it was only 9 sessions, okay, of aerobic moderate cycling retraining. So, one of the possible explanations that I thought about it was, okay, we saw in young people after this use that resistance training enhanced oxidative metabolism, okay? And here, what could be, okay, the players that actually help muscle to recover that fast and in this magnitude? Maybe something related to vascularization. So we had the possibility to do transcriptomics. So these are like very hot off press, well not press, but they're very new values that I received lately. And so what you can see is that there was a suppression of basically atrophy-related gene pathways and a little bit of like stimulation of myogenesis and hypertrophic-related gene transcripts. But I want to show you also there was a little bit of like such a rebound effect on the angiogenesis and blood vessel remodeling, which is actually not, you know, like so surprising because the aerobic training was employed, okay? But it is, in my opinion, interesting because there's a rebound effect, and we see a rebound effect also in the recovery of muscle mass. So this may be associated because we know that, and Giovanni Baldassare showed that before, that there is potential endothelial dysfunction and reduced capillary density as well, whereas endurance training will lead to angiogenesis and improve vessel dilation and perfusion. So if more oxygen and nutrients are getting to the muscle, potential hypertrophy can be enhanced. And so what we want to study now is to try to understand with the transcript and different modalities of testing that I will show you in a second. I'd like to basically put, forward a potential speculation that is maybe after these use, aerobic training is not so bad because if we saw the resistance training was working like an aerobic exercise in terms of adaptation, maybe for this population we can think that not only resistance training can induce such hypertrophy and such recovery, and then endurance training can be effective as a countermeasure against this using induced muscle loss. So, to-do list with as well the user suspect, the University of Udine, Pavia, Milan. We are getting to look into all of this, and I would like to know your ideas about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martino. My gosh, I have to go up, then I'll be back, okay? Are you ready? Next time, please, sit in the first row.
Thank you, Martino. I'm Gaia Giuliato from the University of Verona. I just wanted to ask you, how long after you finished the training you did the measurements for the cross-sectional area?
For the cross-sectional area?
For the muscle mass that you did?
So it was, yeah, okay, so there could be some confounding factors. Oh, sorry. There could be some confounding factors. So we performed those when the guys were coming. So these guys were from across Slovenia, right? So they had to come back to Isola for the testing. They had 21 days, okay, in which they could have, they had to finish their 9 sessions altogether, and after that they were asked like to go to the lab. So they were getting an MRI scan the morning where they were arriving after this period. There is some, let's say, individual variability in the time of when the MRI was done after the retraining, but it's plus minus 3 days.
Yes, because I was just thinking maybe there was a little bit of inflammation in that case.
But this, yeah, of course, and this is a very good point, Gaia. We are going to try to assess with the in-depth analysis with cross-sectional areas as well in the fibers if. No, but a good point, absolutely.
Henry Terry, Ruhr University Bochum. Thank you, Martino. You make a good ask, Prof. My question is related to what do you think is driving the rebound effect? Because you had people do sprints and then this continuous cycling. So do you think if you got rid of the sprints, the effects would be the same? Or are the sprints actually causing this additive?
Very, very good point, Brent. Thanks a lot for the question. So the reason why we decided to have like little sprints in the warm-up, okay, was for 2 reasons, okay? So Marco and I discussed that we needed also to give the subjects a sort of like a neuromuscular, you know, like let's say stimulus for retraining. So something that was not just moderate cycling based. We know from the high intensity interval training literature that this will actually lead to enhancement in different metabolic components. Let's call it more metabolic and vascular components. So luckily, we've done this on young people too in 2023, and in the last batch rest of 2025, we decided to apply high intensity interval training only, okay, retraining, and so we will be able to see the differences between the 2 protocols down the line. So I haven't said anything about the bed rest of 2025 because I'm still on the 2023, but catching up.
Last question.
Sorry, Martino. Bruno Gassi again. We've discussed about this exciting data many times. I give you a simple and maybe simplistic interpretation. After a strong insult like the bed rest, it doesn't matter what you do in the recovery. Any type of exercise will have a rebound. So that's to keep in the back of the mind when interpreting these things.
Can I?
You can try. Yes. You can try.
No, I think you're completely right, and this is the point that I think that we should stress as well, because if in a normal condition we don't see this hypertrophic response or this of this magnitude, then I am actually thinking, and with the resistance training we saw different adaptation, then we should actually stress exactly what you said. And thank you.
Thank you, Martino, really.